Meghan Markle thought Oprah was her biggest ally until silence hit harder than any headline or Randy Savage ever could. After a bold claim in their viral interview crumbles under new evidence, Oprah's quiet distance says it all. Did Meghan just lose her most powerful supporter?
I had just had that conversation with Harry that morning, and it was the next day that I talked to the institution.
You had the conversation, I don't want to be alive anymore?
Yeah. But we had to go to this event, and I remember him saying, I don't think you can go. And I said, I can't be left alone.
In March 2021, the Duchess of Sussex sat down with the Queen of Tickety-Talk Yippity-Yap-Yappery and dropped a royal bombshell that echoed across continents. And I know it sounds like indigestion, but I don't think it was Taco Bell night. Meghan looked Oprah straight in the eye and said something that made jaws drop.
When I joined that family, that was the last time until we comes here that I saw my passports, my driver's licenses, my keys, all that gets turned over, precious Oprah.
The way she said it, so calm, so hurt, you guys, like she'd been locked up in a royal tower. Oh my god, it hit deeper than the Mariana Trench. Except it didn't. Oprah paused, nodded. She let the silence hang in the air, as if the gravity of that one statement needed a moment to breathe. Not only that, she even claimed that she couldn't be left alone because the royal family will, oh my god, try to kill her. Jesus Christ, how overly dramatic and C-string bad acting can a person get?
But now someone with a sharp set of eyes has noticed perhaps a mistruth in the Oprah interview.
Oh, but check it out. Like 2 years later, that single claim is boomeranging back faster than an episode of Droopy the Dog. And not just on Meghan, but on Oprah too. The woman who gave Meghan that platform, who validated her story, is now dealing with the fallout of what might have been a half-truth at best and a flat-out lie at worst.
Was the move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is, is everywhere, or was the move because you weren't getting enough support?
People are starting to use their brains a bit, and there's a lot of inconsistency in the story.
After that infamous interview ad, The Sun published a detailed investigation that basically blew a hole in Meghan's whole "they took my passport" narrative. According to the report, Meghan didn't exactly stay grounded after marrying into royalty. In fact, she traveled to at least 13 different countries during that time. We're talking Italy, Holland, the US, and Canada. And not just royal tours either. Private vacations, casual trips, not the kind of thing you can do if your passport's really been locked away in a Buckingham Palace tower, am I right?
Which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
It was really hard.
Now, here's the interesting part. Royal sources didn't deny that her passport was held, but they said it was kept safe and not taken away. Apparently, it's common practice for members of the royal family to have important documents secured for safety reasons. Who knew? But that doesn't mean she didn't have access to them when needed. She could still travel. She clearly did travel, so the fudge buckets? Well, that's where the controversy really starts to heat up, because now people are asking if Meghan exaggerated or misrepresented something so specific. What else from that interview doesn't hold up? Yeah, it's not a really good look for Meghan liar. It's definitely not a good look for Oprah. For Oprah, that's kind of up there with all those rumors about her, starting fires in Hawaii and trafficking kids. And it makes you wonder, what exactly is Oprah doing while all of this is unfolding? What Oprah always does. Absolutely nothing. She's gone full dark comms radio silent, hoorah. Now, if y'all know Oprah, you know that silence isn't passive, it's intentional. She's like that hyper-judgy aunt at the family reunion that just looks at you and goes, mm-mm.
May I say she is not doing well. Put up that clip, and I can see how people would obviously be very upset. And the attacking to the point where...
So let's be clear on something. Oprah doesn't really need to drag anybody publicly. She doesn't do Twitter threads. She doesn't do shady Instagram posts. You know, she's not Meghan. But when Oprah wants you to know that she's done, she just ghosts you and disappears. Which is exactly what she seems to be doing now with Meghan Markle. Her absence is speaking volumes. Oprah, who once called Meghan's voice essential, hasn't said a single word about the passport drama. She hasn't posted, she hasn't commented, she hasn't made an appearance next to Meghan or even mentioned her name during any recent media rounds. And when Meghan dropped her promo for the Archetypes podcast, Oprah's name, once rumored as a top guest, was nowhere in sight. Sources close to Oprah's team says she's reevaluating her relationship with Meghan. Others are calling it professional ghosting. But let's be honest, when you're as famous and connected as Oprah, ghosting somebody has ripple effects. It signals to other people that something is off here, Watson. And that kind of silent rejection, that can hurt more than a public call-out. Oh my god, you guys, whatever will Meghan Markle do with her hurt feelings? Probably scream victimhood from the top of the tallest mountain. The only saving grace is that the tallest peaks have less oxygen.
Oprah Winfrey is starting to distance herself from Prince Harry and Meghan.
Okay, think about it. Oprah launched that 2021 interview like it was the damn moon landing. It was the biggest sit-down of the decade. And now, with this new report threatening its credibility, Oprah is backing away like somebody who just realized that they were sold a polished story with a few cracks underneath. Now here's where the timing just makes everything worse. Meghan thought she had a comeback plan. She was hyping up her podcast with Spotify, and during the promo, she dropped what fans believed was a Taylor Swift Easter egg. At one point in the teaser, Meghan says, "All too well," which, as any Swiftie knows, is the name of one of Taylor's most emotional songs. Cue to the internet and teenage girls going wild. Oh my god, Taylor's gonna be on the podcast! Hey, when you have a niece and all she listens to is Taylor Swift, you get to do a poor turkey imitation too. I mean, think about it. Meghan and Taylor, two queens fighting labels together. Yeah, some people were excited. This was supposed to be a big positive moment for Meghan, a way to shift the conversation back to something empowering. A smart move, right? Except it completely backfired, because the second the promo dropped, people didn't talk about Taylor Swift. They talked about the passport lie. News outlets were more focused on the new revelations about Meghan's travel history than her podcast plans. Even her 5 fans were caught off guard. Some were confused, huh? Others started asking uncomfortable questions like, where do babies come from and why is Earth? Suddenly, what was supposed to be a moment of PR brilliance turned into more fuel for the backlash.
What could the motive be for keeping both sides of the family away?
That's right.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry.
It didn't help that Meghan's podcast, originally rumored to include Prince Kermit, suddenly felt like a really poorly performed solo act. No mention of Harry, no Oprah, just Meghan. And while the podcast itself aimed to challenge stereotypes and empower women, people couldn't help but feel like the timing was just a little off. Almost like she was trying to distract from the growing controversy. If anything, it just reinforced what critics have been whispering for a while now. Meghan's PR machine feels calculated, too curated, not authentic. And when you're already being accused of stretching the truth, the last thing you want is to seem overly polished and strategic.
I hadn't known all the stigmas and archetypes that so many women of Asian descent specifically had faced until many, many years later.
When Meghan first announced her podcast, Archetypes, the message was clear, darling. She wanted to dismantle harmful stereotypes, especially the ones women carry from childhood into adulthood. I've said it before, it sounded empowering and I loved the idea. The trailer even opened with Meghan's signature soft-spoken, soothing voice, asking questions about how society labels women and why we keep using these tired categories. The world expected an elegant mix of activism, storytelling, and maybe even a little dash of Hollywood glam, you see? But what we got instead was a thinly dressed up gigantic poo ball, a PR juggling act, dropped in the middle of a credibility storm. Let's just talk about the timing here. Archetypes was meant to signal Meghan's return to the public conversation on her terms. It was her voice project, the thing she could control, narrate, and of course try to shine in. But the problem is that return happened just as the passport controversy started making headlines. The same people who once applauded her for, speaking truth to power, woohoo, were now side-eyeing her like she was a stinky sewer rat, wondering if maybe this new podcast was actually just a glossy distraction from a crumbling story.
Spotify lost so much money on them, and you remember one of the executives came out and said they quite literally have no talent, but worse than that, they don't want to work. Never, ever.
And then there was Prince Kermit, notably absent. When Spotify originally announced the deal with Arkwell Audio, Harry was part of the conversation. They were marketed as a power couple with a joint voice, ready to shape culture and media together. But you fast forward to the actual release archetypes and Harry was nowhere to be seen or heard. Commentators didn't miss out on that fact. People started to whisper, was Meghan slowly cutting people off? First the royal family, now Oprah, and oh my god, then Harry? Now, whether true or not, it did feed into a growing narrative. Meghan isn't just going solo, she's doing it while burning bridges behind her at a record rate. It's like Ben Stiller at the end of Tropic Thunder, just blow the damn bridge. Some saw the podcast as a bold new chapter. Others saw it as a damage control dressed up in soft lighting and feminist buzzwords. Even longtime supporters started asking why her comeback had such a weird tone. Like somebody's trying way too hard to regain control of a room that they just lost. And Oprah, she's certainly not riding shotgun on this one. No promotion, no public endorsement, no winks or nods. Meghan may have intended archetypes to be her triumphant return, but without Oprah's magic touch, it started to feel more like a reset than it ever fully loaded.
Making the rounds, I have to show you what I'm speaking about. It is just so gross in terms of the adoration, the fawning over Zelensky.
The internet doesn't forgive or forget. I'm still listening to Hamster Dance. So, as soon as the passport story started to unravel, Twitter became a battlefield. Screenshots from travel records, photos of Meghan abroad, and old headlines were being dragged out by the hour. One buddy tweet went viral. If Meghan lied about the passport, what else did she lie about? Kinda brutal, right? But that's how fast trust can collapse in the digital age. British tabloids, of course, had a field day. The Sun, Daily Mail, and the usual suspects ran headlines that practically screamed, "Oh, we gotcha!" You know, at Meghan. Every past quote was re-examined, every interview side-eyed, even stuff that had nothing to do with passports was suddenly being viewed through a lens of suspicion. But what's interesting is how quiet the American press was. Nobody wanted to go against Oprah, not directly, and definitely not while her silence on the matter loomed so heavily. But don't get it twisted like your knickers. People noticed the fracture between Meghan and Oprah, and they ran with it. Now, some said it was a falling out, others whispered about strategic distancing. Well, no matter how it's framed, it was pretty obvious that something had shifted. The woman who once knelt beside Meghan in spirit was no longer standing with her. She was pulling a Leonidas and kicking her into the pit. That image of mutual trust, gone, replaced by calculated distance. And oh my god, that hurts Meghan more than any newspaper headline ever could. Cause when Oprah backs away, the ripple effect is instant. People start questioning everything, from your story to your integrity to your motives to the fact that you're wearing, I don't know, clean underwear. Suddenly, Meghan's not just dealing with critics, she's dealing with disillusionment from the very handful of fans and media voices who once cheered her on. This isn't just a backlash, it's a disappointment. And it cuts deeper. You can always tell when a public figure's in trouble by who's still standing next to him when the storm hits. And in Meghan's case, that crowd around her is thinning out faster than, I don't know, people near Peter Griffin when he cuts one thick. Behind closed doors, insiders say there's growing trust tension within a team. Advisors, once fiercely loyal, are reportedly walking away without making a scene. No big exits, no drama, just quiet adios amigos, which in celebrity circles is the equivalent of a raised eyebrow and a slow backpedal as you rupture and bleed your spleen on the ground. But perhaps the most symbolic loss of it all was Oprah. She wasn't just a friend or a media ally, she was a validator. When Oprah says that somebody's worth listening to, oh my god, the world listens. And when she chooses not to say anything, well, that silence is louder than any takedown. Hollywood works on a currency of credibility. Who you know, who's backing you, who's willing to say your name in a room full of decision makers. Oprah's name is key. Meghan had it once, but now it looks like that key's been quietly slipped off the ring. And let's not forget, Oprah's not petty. She doesn't hold grudges publicly. But she also doesn't attach her brand to stories that start to fall apart. Her team knows the stakes, her legacy matters, and so too does her silence.
I pray for forgiveness and healing for them so that they can use this as a teachable moment for us all.
One royal source put it perfectly. When Oprah steps back, others usually follow. And that's exactly what's happening. Meghan's inner circle, which once seemed so tight, so strong, is starting to crack at the seams. The mentors, Gonskis. The media allies, ultra cautious. And the fans, divided. I mean, if you have 5 fans and you divide them, that's like 3 on one side and 8 on another. And it all points back to the same moment, the same interview, the same shocking fallout. She might still have a mic, she might still have a podcast, but if Meghan doesn't have the trust that she once did and the powerful women who vouched for her, that's a loss that no Spotify deal's gonna fix. So, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below.